This is bad. It's actually not that bad. Nah, this is bad. Really bad. It's actually not that bad. Anyhow, let's start the video. Okay, here's what we have. 2023 Lexus RX500 HF Sport, 2023 Volvo XC60 T8, the recharged plug-in hybrid. You can tell by the plates. Let's talk about these two. First of all, let's start with the exterior. Over here onto the side, we got the Lexus beautiful color. The Volvo onto the side over here, red exterior. Absolutely love this thing. It's pretty much the same as the previous year. Nothing has changed here. Looks exactly the same. It's been like this for a while. On this side, the Lexus is new for this year, but I got a problem with this thing. Here's why. First of all, if I look at it this way, it's nice. Then I get onto this way, it's ugly. It looks like a hammerhead shark. Not a big fan of this. Exterior color, fantastic. Okay, let's move on to the other things. First of all, this is not the Polestar engineered, so you don't get those little beautiful things on the outside, like for example, the yellow calipers, not present here. But the Lexus on this side, you do have these blacked out wheels, and you get the Lexus calipers, the big caliper in the front, and most importantly, this is a two-piece rotor. These are exactly the same the ones used in the Lexus IS500, which I sold it after 2 months ownership. Anyhow, let's move on. Rear end over here for the XC60. Both vehicles have LED headlights and tail lights. Badge wise, you got the F Sport for the Lexus over there, and then on this side we got the T8 all-wheel drive recharge right in here, so that people behind you, they know this means business. Next thing I want to talk about is the fact that this beauty behind comes with air suspension system. And how do I know that? Because if you open the tailgate over here, we got two buttons on the side. You press these, and look at that. Maybe I can it lift me? Oh yeah, I can. This is nice. Let's see how much higher we'll go. Come on. No, that was it. Space-wise, here's what you need to know. They're very similar. They're not too far off. The Lexus does have a bit more cargo space overall, but this thing here over here, and sorry for this mess, it's the camera guy, I blame him, this is not mine. This is still pretty good. You get that little option on the side, power lift gate, of course, same thing for the Lexus. Now, let's jump into the Lexus, into the second row. Let's talk about what the Lexus offers, and then we'll go into the Volvo. Okay, into the second row. First of all, this thing doesn't have a physical button. It's just like a touch button here, and in case if it does break, you pull the lever and it opens the door. That's one thing you need to know about this. Space-wise, I'm 6'2", comfortable. My head is just touching the roof just a little bit, not too much. We got a beautiful panoramic roof all the way across. Leg room, I've set the seat in the front as if I'm the driver, so you got quite a lot of leg room in here. We have an armrest in the center, 2 cup holders, and you get more space in here, which is nice. Tech features. We got a climate unit in the center over here. We have heated seats and ventilated seats. That's impressive. We have this beautiful Alcantara finish around the speaker here. It is equipped with the Mark Levinson audio system, of course. Very typical of Lexus. I like this, nice and comfortable. Let's jump into the Volvo. Okay, into the Volvo. This is interesting. I thought this was going to be smaller, but it's actually much, sort of like deeper. I feel more comfortable here. In the Lexus, I felt too high off the ground and I'm looking above everyone in front of me. But I like this. Here's what you get. Rubber mats all across here, which I like it. Tech features, there's only heated seats in the back. There's no climate unit. There's only one USB-C port. There's 2 USB-C ports in here. For the armrest, we got cup holders hidden. There's nothing else in here, but you do get access to the rear side by pulling this thing over here. That way you get access to the trunk. Other than that, it's nice in here. Leather interior. Space, I got tons of headroom, as you can see. I'm 6'2". Feels nice and comfortable. Beautiful panoramic roof all the way across. I love these seats. They look really nice. I like this. Now let's jump into the front, and let's start first with a Lexus. I'm not a big fan of those buttons on the door handle. I like actual door handle. Like, there's no need for that. Anyhow, into the interior. My camera guy said it actually looks the same as the other Lexuses. He says it's still outdated, but it's not really outdated. It's actually new. So let's talk about this. First of all, we got this massive screen in the center. It's like a MacBook in here. I like it, but also don't like it at the same time because you don't get some of the important buttons. But the layout, it's pretty good because we got the climate and we have all the rest of the tech options offered with this. In this case, we have the maps. There's a button over here at the top that's for the power. It's easy to see. The steering wheel, it's nice. We got an F Sport badge at the bottom. Of course, we have a digital cluster. There's a heads-up display. And one thing I love about this, it's this thing over here, the rearview mirror, which turns into an LCD, shows the back side. In the center, we got 2 cup holders in here. In terms of the wireless charging pad for your phone, you can slide it right in the center. There's a lot of space in here that you can play around, even on the sides. If you don't want to charge it, you close that. The center area, we have this little gear knob here, which I have to say, I'm not the biggest fan because it has a very weird way of doing things. So for example, if you want to put it into drive, you have to go into the left side and then down. If you want to go into neutral, you got to go into... No, that's reverse. I know I got this right. Okay, where is that? No, that's manual. Okay, there we go. So you go into reverse. Oh no, that's drive. Ah! Where is the neutral? Okay, do we hold? Okay, so neutral, you hold it this way. Oh God. And then park, there's a button. Yes, park, it's easy. The next thing I want to talk about is the seats. You see, with the F Sport, you get these bucket style seats, which shockingly the IS500 never came with. They were just standards. I love the design. They kind of hug you in. It's kind of like a bucket style, but not too rough on your back. You got this Alcantara finish, leather at the same time. Then the center console over here, we got the leather finish as well. Very nice. This thing opens 2 ways, so you can have it on the left or on the right. Left, on the right. Not sure why, but let's talk about some of the details. Let's start first with the screen over here. First of all, we have the climate unit over here. You have access to your heated seats, heated steering wheel, and ventilated seats for the front. And then over onto the side, we have a couple of more buttons. But here's what's interesting, the way this thing is designed. So we have these sort of like car wheels with a rubber around it to grab on. And you can move the temperature up and down, but it shows right in the center. And if you look carefully, you have the colorful area. So onto the right side, it says this is your increase of temperature. On the left side, you can decrease the temperature because it's sort of like blue. I like that. It's a nice touch. You do this, you can see the temperature level as well. This is the built-in GPS, which shockingly doesn't come with a subscription because some of these vehicles, every time I pick them up, it says, please subscribe. I don't have to subscribe. One thing I don't like about this is the fact that to get into the driving mode, you have to go into that vehicle icon and then you go into sport over here and then everything turns red. Of course, you got your normal and eco, you got your seat controls, you can fold everything from here apparently to adjust the seats, which is kind of interesting. There's more settings that you can play around. There is your Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and of course you got a 360 camera, but you can change a lot of things about the 360 camera and it changes as you move. So let me just reverse for a bit. And look at that. You can see underneath the vehicle as you're driving. And then if you put into drive, which I managed, look at this, it shows you underneath as well, and a full 360 view. This is actually nice. I like this. It shows quite a lot, so you'll never hit anything, hopefully. The infotainment, it's easy to use, it's quick. The only problem I have with this infotainment, it's when you turn it on, it does take a bit of time. So if I turn it on again, come on. It takes a bit of time to go on, like it just, now we're into that. Like that's my only problem. It's a bit slow for my taste. I like a bit faster than that. Other than that, I like this entire design. Into the Volvo XC60. Here's what you get. A nice interior, good quality, wood finish with this package. I like this thing. Nice leather. Another thing I like about this, the screen in the center. See, it's not that massive screen in the Lexus. When you jump in here, it's a lot easier to figure out things. Even though it doesn't have a lot of buttons, they're very smart at designing this, the way the screen is designed, the infotainment display. And then we have a digital cluster in the center, full digital cluster. There's also a heads-up display. But one thing I realized with this thing, it doesn't have a wireless charging pad anywhere. I looked everywhere and clearly it doesn't have as an option. And the other problem I noticed is this part over here. The armrest is too small. It can barely fit a tiny bag, but you get some extra space in the center over here, and you get this little knob to turn it on or turn it off. In fact, someone I know jumped in here and couldn't figure out how to turn it on. The gear knob, we have this beautiful crystal finish. I like that. Nice touch. This is actually pretty easy to use. You put into drive, and then you go all the way to reverse, and then you can go to neutral just by tapping it once. Pretty easy. And then there's a park button. Now, let's get into the details. Let's talk first about this infotainment display. The screen, it is of course touchscreen. It is more like a Android based. It's like a tablet. It's easy to use. You have the center button over here, and then you can like pull down stuff. You go into all the settings. There's more settings onto the side. Similar to the Lexus, even this one has the same issue. Look at that. To get into the driving mode, it's different too. You don't have an actual button to go into that. But the Lexus has like a sport mode, eco normal. The Volvo goes a bit further. They had to use their own special names like power, pure, off-road, constant all-wheel drive, and it tells you exactly what it is. And then you can charge the battery, or you can put it on hold, or you can do automatic over here. There's more settings. You have air suspension system. You can do air suspension control for easy entry and exit. That's nice, right? You can go into the actual camera. The camera has 360 mode. You can look around it. You can pinpoint at whichever location you want it to have. This is pretty cool, and it's easy to use, I have to say. It's small, it's fast. You have your Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and it has Google Assistant, so you can use that. It is pretty much an Android tablet just into an actual car. You can actually see here Google and the legality of it. It's all part of the Google. There's an audio system powered by Bowers & Wilkins. It's really good. I think this is better than the one in the Lexus. I like this a lot more because it does have different settings to play around. So does the Lexus, but the quality of the audio system from Bowers & Wilkins is fantastic in this vehicle, in my opinion. I've tried both of them. I like this one a bit more. In the front, for tech features, we have heated seats and ventilated seats for the front. This is easy to use onto the side over here. You press that button and here you go. You get access to that. We have the levels. I don't want heated seats, it's too hot right now. But it's pretty straightforward, nothing crazy. Let's talk about the specs, and let's start first with the Lexus RX500h. Under the hood, it uses a 2.4-liter four-cylinder turbocharged engine. It is, of course, hybrid, very important. Combined output of horsepower, we're looking at 366 brake horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. It uses a 6-speed automatic transmission style, not a CVT, thankfully. Toyota uses a term called 4 Direct, which is a way of delivering power to the wheels. You're looking at about 70-30. 1080, depends where it's needed the most, in case if you need to take this maybe in certain areas like snow time. That's important. Fuel efficiency in this car is pretty impressive too, because of that hybrid and the small engine together. For a vehicle that weighs over 4,600 pounds, it's pretty heavy. It's also big on the outside. Meanwhile, the Volvo XC60 under the hood uses a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged and supercharged, but it's also hybrid, plug-in hybrid in this case. It gives you about 36 miles on a single charge currently, and it's for this year it has been bumped up. It makes 455 brake horsepower and, of course, all-wheel drive. And what's important is the fact that it will do 0 to 60, based on what Volvo says, in 4.5 seconds. That's a lot faster than the Lexus. Now let's talk about how these things drive. The Lexus is sitting a lot higher off the ground. I noticed that. The ride is soft. It's very boaty-like. When you go into certain areas, it's kind of like bounces a little bit. That's one thing I noticed with this. The steering wheel is light, easy to drive this thing. The seats are comfortable for being bucket style like. I like that. For me that I'm 6'2", I feel nice and comfortable. They're not too hard on your shoulders and your back. They hug you nicely. Visibility in this car, how is it? Well, it's actually not bad. It kind of has that coupe shape a little bit. It's not as boxy as the Volvo. So visibility all around is great, minus the rear end, but who cares about that because I got this thing at the top here. I have it on all the time, so not a biggie for that, especially if you have people in the second row. I like this thing. I like how comfortable it is. It's a nice ride. It's soft. The heads-up display is nice. The buttons on the steering wheel, they don't tell you anything because the way these things operate, if you know Lexus and it's been using like this for a while now, it shows onto the actual heads-up display which button you're pressing and what it is. But in here, it just shows arrows. That's fine. The steering wheel is nice. We got the pedal shifters in the back. You can have some fun with it. As I said, the gear knob is one thing that I don't like about this thing. You get used to it with time, but initially, it's pretty confusing, I'd say. But I like the ride on this thing. It's very, very soft. I enjoy that driving experience that the Lexus offers. The power pickup is there too. You put your foot down, even in sport modes, although you have to get into the sport mode. It takes a while. You have to go into the settings. Hopefully it turns on. Here we go. And somehow this thing is asking me for a pin. I don't have a pin. You put it into sport mode and you put your foot down. There's no sound on this thing, and that's the crazy part. It comes from the speakers, and it's pretty awkward. But again, it is a 2.4 liter cylinder, it's a 4-cylinder engine, so it's not gonna sound like a V8. I mean, even the IS500 didn't sound that great. Before I do a quick launch on this thing, like put your foot down into power. Oh, the difference in power between the two is very noticeable. The 455 brake horsepower that this thing offers in comparison to the Lexus is pretty noticeable, and I like that. It's pretty zippy. There's something about the Volvos that you either love them or hate them, and I don't mind them actually. I'm in between in some ways. One thing I don't like about this, it feels very small for me on the inside. The Lexus feels more roomy on the inside. You jump in, like even the camera position, you can tell there's more room in the Lexus than in this. But visibility in this thing, it's slightly better, even the rear end. So you don't need that camera over here that much, which is nice. The ride is soft. The air suspension system does help a little bit for sure. The steering wheel is light, but not too light. This thing comes with the latest tech features, and the safety, of course, for Volvo is superb, known worldwide. And I believe they were the first one to invent the seat belts, and they just gave it for free. They didn't even patent the damn thing. They're just like, here, save lives. That's nice, right? You drive a Volvo, you feel good about yourself. I like the look of this. I like how it drives. My problem is like it feels very small on the inside. But the power, though, just makes you forget about that a little bit. It is pretty addictive. And what that thing can do with a 2-liter plus the electric motors, it pulls hard. 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. That's pretty impressive out of that turbocharged and supercharged engine. The ride is enjoyable for sure. It is slightly stiffer. It doesn't have that boaty ride that the Lexus has. This is more firm on the roads. Even in, let's just put it in hybrid mode, it doesn't change much, the ride. It stays almost about the same. I like this thing, but here's one thing that you need to know about these vehicles in terms of pricing. In Canada, the Lexus starts at about $79,000, but that's for the RX500h. If you want a cheaper one, you have to go to the RX350 and so on. Meanwhile, the Volvo, on the other hand, the T8 Recharge, the base model starts at about 64, but then if you go to the fully loaded in comparison to the Lexus, you're gonna pay about $82,000 for the Volvo. So just slightly more, but that's because you're getting more horsepower. You get green plates, which is very important if you can drive alone on a HOV lanes, of course, especially in Canada. I'm sure in the US it's probably the same thing. And on top of that, you get about 36 miles, which would be about under 60 kilometers of a single charge. You can drive it fully electric, and I have to say, this thing, for city drive is fantastic. In fact, you don't even notice that you're burning fuel, or it doesn't burn fuel at all, because of that charge that it offers, the hybrid motors and the battery. That really helps this thing. And 60 kilometers for most people, it's enough if you live in the city, for example, unless you live outside of the city. So it does have a huge advantage. But here's my problem with the Volvo. This thing has been on the market for a while now, and there's a potential that this thing might get an actual new face, new interior, and so on. So you're getting yourself sort of like an outdated model for next year, for example. So that's my problem. But overall, this thing performs very well. In that case, I also like the interior of the Lexus, meaning the space, the ride quality is better, feels more roomy on the inside. And thank God I don't have to look at that thing when I'm driving, because just that front end for me doesn't do it well. I like the Lexus. I'll have to go with the Lexus because it's new. It does have good fuel efficiency, even though it's not plug-in hybrid, and it's roomy on the inside, offers lots of tech features in the back, lots of tech features in the front. It's well equipped, and it's slightly cheaper. Also, I'm going to be a Toyota fan at this point and say that I can take the Lexus to the grave, because that thing, it's never going to die, apparently.